um, let's see. So I'm just going, you know what, I'll start. I'll dig in if you want. I just got to find Zoom because I'm like on a bunch of other stuff. God, first of all, to your students, I'm so sorry I just came out of the shower. I look like a wet rodent, and that's just not fair to you. I should look more put together, but sorry. So the question is how to negotiate a big project.
Yeah.
How to, it's funny because seriously, I was coming back from the park to talk to you, and I was like, I don't know what Jess is going to talk to or wants to talk about, but what I want to talk about is feelings.
Yay!
And because I've been realizing maybe it has something to do with the pandemic, and maybe it has something to do, I think it has more to do with what I've been teaching lately online, and that is to help people negotiate big projects. And I realized early on that mostly it's not skills we're lacking, it's negotiating those highs and those lows and those ups and the downs and the version of us that like commits to the project, and the version of us that self-sabotages the project, and it's so normal, it's so common. There's a particular type of person who has self-confidence and bluster and no self-doubt, and also believe highly in their own place in the pantheon of gods, that they're determined to get there. But most of us feel bad sometimes, and God, especially now. I mean, now is so troubling and such a weird time. I mean, throw in the mix of like not really being able to socialize, which is usually helpful. Throw in the mix of not knowing if it's even worth doing art, which I hear like, why, because there's so much bad going on in the world, and so there's a lot to talk about. But I think committing to something you're capable of is really important, so like if you've started small, if you've done some 1-pagers and you've done some 6-pagers, and you're ready to say, okay, I think I can do, what's the thesis, 20-some pages?
16 is the minimum, and I'm trying to cut them off at that to say you can't do more than 16.
Yeah, that's a good number for that age, because you'll second guess yourself a lot. You'll try and you won't find your rhythm until late. So where do we start talking about all those highs and lows?
I was thinking in the context of like personal experience and personal feelings, like maybe you remember an emotional experience of like being at the very beginning of an idea and knowing it was going to be a big book, but being like, wow, I have a lot of feelings, a lot of ideas, and how do I put this in a book?
Yeah, there's so many. I've done a lot of different books, and I could come at that from a personal angle in a lot of different ways. I mean, I think early on in my own career, I didn't have a big ego, but I had a lot of drive, and I had a lot of belief that my finished books should exist in the world. And so I didn't let bad drawing get in my way, and I didn't let bad I didn't let bad writing get in my way, even though I thought they were well written. So my standards were reasonable. Like a lot of times, there's that famous quote, you probably have seen it. I think it's Ira Glass. He says, we come into our fields with really good taste, but we can't match that taste yet. And most of us, if we can't, we just give up. And we don't realize it takes work and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and deadlines and deadlines and deadlines and deadlines and deadlines to sort of reach that point where you match your taste level. And I think I was lucky because I don't think I could have articulated my taste level at a certain age. I didn't have a real good eye for comparison. You know, I grew up before Instagram. So if you're always doing this and you're like, oh, my art doesn't look like this and my art doesn't look like that. Back then art was like, we all did it and it all came out different. And that was a good thing. So we weren't comparing or trying to emulate too many other people. We're actually trying to find our own voice. So as a young creator, I actually would say that was an important thing for me, was like, I knew I had a unique voice, because I think everybody does. And my goal was to find it. And producing books, which I also wanted to do, just happened to be a good way to go finding my own voice. So there's two things I wanted to do, right? It was like make things and find my voice. They happen to work together. And so I didn't have the lows of not hitting my own standards until I'd probably been doing it 10 years. And then I was like, I really want to get better. I want to draw more like this. And then I was like, oh God, I'll never do it. Oh my God. And then I actually think, you know, that's when voices in my head started to creep in. And those are the voices that I think everyone is familiar with. Like the person's like, oh, you suck at this. You're no good at this. You can't draw legs. You aren't that deep of a writer. Yeah. You know, you're like, there's already a Brecht Evans. There's already Lauren Weinstein. You know, what are you bothering for? What are you doing this for?
Yeah.
There's already an Eleanor Davis, and you know, don't bother. Just stop. Your parents told you not to do it, so they were right. You know, those voices. So, and sometimes, and I'll be honest, like in my head, those voices actually were particular figures of authority in the comic book field. I won't get into who they were, but they were very specific. They were two.
Yeah.
And so I've spent time trying to like I have I don't think it's on my wall just because I moved. It might still be. Nope, it doesn't. I'll show you my board. You know, it's got some affirmations, but the one that isn't there, let me see if I can get it.
Wee, this is fun.
Yeah. One is, let's see. Don't be good, be human. That's an important one.
Ooh.
And I'll just let you guys take a screenshot of the rest. This is sort of my, can you see it? This is my just homage to coffee. It says rough, expressive power, and it's got this beautiful shot of espresso there. That's really important.
Awesome.
But on that board, up till recently, I had bore your detractors.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know, the people that want to see you fail, just bore them. Just bore them by making the work that they would hate the most, you know? And
great advice.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm surprised it's not on there. I might have to rewrite it and put it back on there. But so dealing with those critical voices and trying to locate them, even put a face on them sometimes and draw it and realize it's not the you that wants to make the work, and it's a part of you that for some reason we all have. It's this protective ego that doesn't want to see you fail, because if you fail and people see you fail, you feel like you're going to die, but it's not true. Mm-hmm. But the protective part of you will never believe that.
Right.
You know? So you just have to find ways to override it or ignore it or work faster than it. Mm-hmm. Or make the voice that believes it's succeeding louder. And all of that takes time, you know, and there's definite strategies for it. And we could talk about some of that. Like I was talking with one of my groups about doing the 24-hour comic. And I said, one of the reasons you do it is because you oh, what did I say? I said, you want to train yourself not to second guess yourself. So like at a certain point in the 24-hour comic, you're just like, fuck it. I'm just going to do this first thought that came to my head. I'm just going to go with this first drawing that came out, because that's all, because otherwise I don't finish. And finishing is the main goal. And that will train, like this stuff matters. If you train yourself to trust your intuition, if you train yourself to ignore, like that voice, the good thing about the critical voice is it's slow. It tends to move slow. It seems like it's constant, but it also moves slow. If you do something too fast for it, it'll be like, hey, wait, what are you doing? I think it sucks, but I can't tell. Like, you know, like, so, right. So if you're doing a 24-hour comic, after a while, it's like, does that drawing suck? I think it sucks, but like, you're already on another drawing. Wait, I'm still talking about that other drawing. You know, I mean it. I think these things are true. So, and the more you can put yourself in a position where you can successfully and boldly ignore that critical voice, the more it'll serve you later. And eventually you get used to it and you're like, oh, that's that lame voice that's always around. Well, just, you know, give it something to do, or, you know, or tell it, you know, oh, you can come look later when the whole thing's done. When, you know, if it's a 16 pager, and if I finish 2 weeks early, then the critical voice can come in and say, that panel kind of sucks. Let's fix that panel. That panel, you know, give it a little bit of respect, but not as much as it's demanding. So that's just about the critical voice. But that doesn't deal with some of the other feelings, which is just burnout, you know, stamina, momentum, belief in yourself, confidence. Like I'm at the moment, I'm teaching this 6-month graphic novel program, and we're dead right in the middle. It's like right at the 3 months mark, and we had a big Zoom call about it. And so many of the people were like, yeah, you know, I abandoned it this week. I wasn't really feeling it, so I was just doing the side project. I'm glad a lot of people were doing the side projects. And it was funny how many people just at this midpoint, they're just not feeling jazzed about that project. But luckily the ones who are doing a side project, maybe it's taken a week or two, most of them are like, I know I'm going to get back to it. It feels like I just need to do this right now. That's great. Like if you can identify like what you need to like get some perspective, or just like be apart for a while, like maybe you've been in too close quarters for, you know, if you're you know, maybe it's, if you've got a roommate and it's in the pandemic, and maybe you're too close to your roommate, maybe you can understand being too close to your own project, you know. Sometimes you just need to give each other some space. So there's that, you know. Another big issue, am I just rambling, or is this helping?
No. You got some bullet points here.
Okay. Oh, we'll send those bullet points on to me so I can use them later.
Okay.
Another big issue is taking on too much, not only too big of a project, but just trying to say too much. And there's a certain point where you're like, I'm going to say everything in the world with this project, and it is going to be so massive and so important. And you get to page like 8 and you're still setting it up and you haven't said anything, you know, and you just start to run out of steam, and you're like, how am I going to do this? And then you start thinking, God, I suck. I can't even say what I mean. So making sure your project is a manageable size, but also the statement you want to make, or the sort of moods or feelings or points you want to get across, is small enough to contain in whatever you're doing. Carol Tyler came on our class the other day, and that was the one thing a lot of people got out of it, because Carol has done like many 300-page books, but she also started off with 1 and 2 and 8-page comics and things, and she said something like, frustration will take the wind out of you, you know, it'll take the wind out of your sails. and set yourself up for success by making a small statement, you know, a small thing that's contained, and that's self-contained, and you can hand it to somebody and they'll be like, wow, I get it. That's enough. I get it, you know, not even wow. Just that can be
yeah.
that can be really satisfying, and you can build on that, and then you can start to build the mental scaffolding and the emotional scaffolding to say like, okay, I wonder if I can say a few different things at once, you know, I wonder if I can build on ideas and make this a little more complex. Yeah, but if you start too early in your career trying to knock out these massive projects with these huge goals, that frustration will kick you in, and then 10 years later you're going to be, you know, wondering like why you gave up comics. You'll be like, why did I give up comics? And then you'll be like, oh, because it was too frustrating. But it didn't have to be.
Yeah. It's like a prerequisite, because like comics are kind of challenging. They take a long time, and then people read them really fast, and you're like, what am I doing?
Why do we do it? I don't even know.
Why am I doing this? I mean, it feels like if you're going to, like kind of have to, but also it's hard to find a reward in the process if you're kind of used to thinking about goals or output or like final product. It almost seems like nothing counts until it's done.
That can be a real danger.
Yeah, that can be a trap, I think.
My friend Ed Brubaker was in that role. I mean, some of your students might know him, maybe not. And he's a real popular writer for Image and Marvel and DC and stuff. But we were roommates when he was still drawing. We soon figured out that he didn't really like drawing. He only liked having drawn, you know. And he liked having a book done. He liked the accolades that came with, because they were usually pretty good books. But slowly he started to figure it out that he didn't like drawing, and now he writes for a living, and he's extremely popular. He got really good at writing and gave up drawing, but he's a pretty good artist. He just didn't like it. And so recognizing that can be important, and you may have to, you know, some people go through a program, you know, whatever comic making program, it could be the one at SVA or SAW or any program, to realize that like, wow, that's too much for me. Like practice is too hard and I'm not made for it. But the people who have gone through that program and have realized that, they make great editors, and they make great agents, and they make great publishers and things like that. So because they know what goes into it. And so it's great. And if you're slowly realizing that like it's too much for you, don't let that get you down, because there are places for you in the world. But that wasn't meant to be a downer. I just want to get you, I really just want to help your students get through this semester and this year. So let's back up and just say, so I mean, I assume you're talking about the obvious things, which is, and it's so true. Everybody says it, but you got to do it. Put things into smaller chunks, write them down, make it a little list, and cross them off. The satisfaction of crossing it off and like, oh, panel one, like even if it's just like today, draw a face. I did it. Like when you cross it off, you're like, yes, success.
Yes, this is my graphic novel in progress. These are pencils, inks, and color. And I did the inks and ink and pencil and pencil. So every time I finish a page, then I finish it. So these are 2 chapters left of the entire book, but it's like building. It takes like a week, and then I'm like, fill in the box.
My problem is I get a little too caught up in list making. Like mine, I literally, let me see if I can find it. Oh, what do I do with it? Oh,
I had a friend who used to make to-do lists, and she would make the item make to-do list as the first item on the to-do list.
That's totally true. I had, you know, I just moved, and I had a friend pick me up in her car, or in their car, from a ways away, and so we couldn't talk because like neither of us knew if we had the virus or not. So we had the windows down. I'm in the back seat, they're in the front seat. And so all I had to do was like, I dug out this like wet piece of paper, and I mapped out my next project on like as the wind is blowing through my hair and stuff. And but it's really good to look at that. So that's like a 22-page outline. And and it's a pretty reliable outline. Like, I think it's pretty good. These are small pages, by the way. They're just 4 panels, no, 6 panels on every page.
Cool.
But I've already gone through and ticked off 1 or 2, and I'm pretty happy. And I have a December deadline.
Oh, great.
Late December, I think. And I'm very slow lately, so it's doable.
Do you have any advice on handling deadline pressure?
Well, deadline pressure in the real life and in real life and deadline pressure in school are different, because in school you probably have multiple deadlines coming at you at once, and they're hard to manage, and then you sort of have to prioritize. Whereas in life, you probably have different pressures, but hopefully only one real hard deadline as far as a project goes, or something like that.
Sure.
So like in post school, it's easy to say like, okay, I'm going to let the dishes pile up. I'm going to wear dirty clothes. I'm going to ignore my friends. You know, hopefully you pay your electric so that you can still draw by iPad or whatever you're drawing by. But in school, it's rough. You know, if you have multiple, and you always do at the midterm and at the final stage, there's always multiple pressures, and that's hard. The best thing you can do is not get caught at crunch time, you know, is to pace yourself. You can pace yourself early on and say, okay, I got 16 pages. And however you guys want to map it out, I don't know if you're giving them a few weeks to sort of get that project locked into place or something, but then it needs to be like, you know, a page a week or something like that. And if you once you start letting little deadlines go, it just kill you at the end.
I think we have some armature in class where it's like, here are the goals if you want to stay on target. But I know that some things take some people longer than others, or you hit a snag in a different part of the process. Or you might have burnout, or you get sick, or this other class was exploding. So it's not going to like be perfect, but it's there that hopefully it would be like a North Star where you're like, oh, okay, well, I kind of have an idea of where I should be, even if I'm not there. What do you do if like you got the deadline and you approach the project with great intentions and you made a little list for yourself and you have an idea of the pacing, and then for whatever reason each week that goes by your deadline whooshes past you, your like micro deadline, and then you start to feel really bad about yourself? What do you do then? Does that ever happen to you? Or like how do you crawl out of the
There are a lot of questions.
hole? if you're
Douglas Adams quote. You remember Douglas Adams, who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yeah, what did he say about it?
He said, I love deadlines. I love the whooshing sound they make.
Yeah, is he the one who said that? Yeah, I think that was in my head.
I mean, he was in an enviable position of like, he was already contracted to have things, and people couldn't get what they wanted from anyone else. So they had to put up with him being late, you know, so that we don't all have that luxury, right? If they don't get it from, you know, there was only one Douglas Adams, and so he could be like, yeah, it's going to be late. Not freak out is always the best option. Try not to freak out. Try to find friends who are in a similar situation. Encourage each other. Get any kind of buddy system going where you're like, look, I need to hit this deadline. Help me stay off my phone. Help me not go to the bathroom so much. I don't know, whatever. Or help me go to the bathroom, because maybe that'll help you. You know, let's keep tabs on each other. And then also, you know, set your priorities. Sometimes that priority is like, make that page, you know, hit that deadline that week, regardless of quality. You know, it's usually easier to fix things later, I think. It may not be true of some people's process, but it's usually easier to fix things later than to just lose time by not making everything perfect and just getting stuck.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm glad you think so too. Yeah, so I mean, if I've got a project that I'm in the middle of, I know page 1, panel 3 is lousy, page 2, panel 6 is lousy, all of page 3 is lousy, you know, and I know that, and I've got this list, and the list is like, when I get done, these are the things in order of most importance. Like, I can't let the book be published with that drawing in it. I can't let the project go on the wall with that panel in it, but I can put up with that panel, you know, and you just have to sort of make a list, but forcing yourself to hit that goal regardless of quality, that'll help you finish it.
Yeah.
I always admired the kids who finished it more than the kids who didn't finish it.
I agree.
Regardless, yeah, you know, if they had
Better about themselves too. There's nothing I could do or say to make them feel good about themselves if they hadn't finished. I think they felt really defeated by it.
but yeah, you know, yeah, we didn't really hit on that, but that'll linger. You know, at least if you finished it, you can be that person who finished something, learned from it, and has moved on.
Yeah.
If you don't finish it, you'll always feel like you're that person that doesn't finish things.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that really silly Netflix cooking show called Nailed It?
Not only have I seen it, we've been watching it like every night. Once Molly Rose discovered it, yeah,
It's delightful.
I love it. It's a celebration of failure, and I think that's a great thing.
Yes. And I like how delighted the Jacques Torres is this like Michelin star winning chocolatier, and he's French, so you would just expect him to be this huge snob, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's not very good. Like he's like, but you finished like this, or I don't know. Nicole Byers, like a professional comedian, so she's always like, I like the way it's looking at me, because there's always like eyeballs on the the decorations. It's very charming to see people like in real time lose it and fail, and then at the end they kind of have to nail the dismount and own whatever it is they made, and
Yeah,
that's
it's a
cool.
very supportive. You know, can I share my screen? I'll show you something because I recently made a nailed it. I can actually, yeah. I made a nailed it connection recently too because I find it very inspiring. Let me see if I can find it. And I'm going to assume your students know it, but if not, I think I have a decent image. Let's see, nailed it. There's one, hold on. And then, wait, where's nailed it, Tom? Gosh darn it, hang on. Hang on.
I was like cackling heartily, but I was muted, so Zoom was like, "You're muted," and I'm like, "I'm not
No, really?
laughing." There's like
Here
a
we go. What?
there's
Oh.
a construction project with saws, so I'm worried it's too loud. So I've been muting myself occasionally.
Oh. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, no, it says you disabled it. So do you have an option to go into, I think you'll find more, and then there's a super simple thing where it says allow other people to share. Maybe it's under more, or maybe it's under share screen, or maybe it's under options.
Yeah, chat, virtual. Huh. Oh, here's share screen. Enter, maximize, enable.
Oh yeah, see if it's enable.
Let me go advanced. I think we have to go advanced.
Oh yeah, it's advanced.
Enable, limit, show border. Did you try it now? Did it do anything?
Oh yeah, you did it. It works. Great.
Okay.
So, all right. So I'll show you. Nailed it. So, you see the okay, right? So, so that's for the students who don't know what we're talking about. But there's an emoji cake, I think, from an early season, and it's just so delightful. Especially, I love with that heart there and stuff. But I shared. I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to share again, because I realized early on in my career, I was going for something too there. I don't know if that's full screen or if you can see it, but
yeah, it's wonderful. Nailed it.
you can see like there's this elegance to Charles Schulz's Peanuts that I wasn't even remotely near. I was mostly copying his style, or I thought I was, you know. I was trying.
And you used a nib, he used a nib, identical.
There's such a rough, coarse quality to my drawing on the right there, but it's got its own thing going. And you know, cakes and art are different, right? You know, a cake, if it's supposed to look like one thing, it should look like the one thing. It should be very edible. People are expecting a certain thing out of a cake. But art, we are looking for our own unique sort of qualities. And this panel here, I sort of, you know, I built on that, and I made what was working better, and what was not working I eliminated slowly over years. And I, I realized that my own personal self was looking at me from that drawing, so I'll stop sharing.
I love that. That's great. Do you remember like how old that drawing is, or like when?
Yeah, it's from 1991.
So how old were you in 1991? Do you remember?
22.
Wow. So that's the age that they are right now. Most of them.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like I was 9, but
No, it has a sophistication in the negative space and the design of it. I was just looking at a freelance piece I did that I'm expanding in a chapter, but I I think I showed Sarah maybe in Zoom. Oh, we were like grimacing at my shoulders. I still can't figure out how to draw
oh,
shoulders.
really?
There's these big hulking crazy things, and I'm like, wow, this is terrible. I can't believe but I got paid, so whatever.
I'm mentioned in Scott McCloud's second book, the one called Making Comics, as
Yeah.
like how to get by without having good figure drawing, but still communicate anyway. It's like some artists get by with lousy figure drawing, but still manage to, and it's just drawings that I made.
And they used you as an example. That's amazing. Put that on your resume. That rules.
I might have that panel, but I'll just send it to you and you can.
Oh, well, that makes me feel better. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like so your taste is much more higher than your abilities, especially when you're first starting, and it kind of is something that persists.
Yeah, yeah, it's really true. But the thing is I couldn't have, as a young artist, I couldn't have. Sorry, I'm looking for that panel too, so I'm gonna be a tiny bit. I couldn't have articulated my own taste. I couldn't have articulated it had I been able to, or maybe found a teacher to help me. I might have nailed it earlier, as I say. Oh, I know where it might be. Hang on one second, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. While you're looking, can I ask you another question?
Sure.
So, like, if something doesn't go the way you planned, does that feel like a waste of time, or do you have regrets about, like, man, if only I had been better sooner, I wouldn't have done all these dumb things? Do you have any creative regrets, or is that just have you kind of made peace with things taking as long as they take?
As long as they take.
Yeah, or like maybe it's not so good. It sounds like you have a good relationship to failure that a lot of 20 to 22-year-olds might not have.
You know what? I don't know what explains that, to be honest. I think having a good relationship with failure really is important. I, I think, we all come into our early adulthood with a certain amount of baggage, and some of that baggage is going to be around failure and things. I don't know why, but I always had a sense of humor about it. What I didn't have a sense of humor about was like more issues of like belonging and things. So that's where my weirdness lies. But as far as like, if something wasn't as good as I wanted, I'd be like, oh well, next time. Because I always believed there'd be a next time, and there was always a new project, and that new project was that new project was the project to sort of focus on what you learned from the previous one. Like I remember I did one book that I finished in I think 2000 or maybe 99, right around that time period. And like as soon as I finished it, I read this book on storytelling. I was like, oh, I wish I knew that 3 months ago. It would have made the story so much better. But I did use some of that stuff in the next project, and that project turned out pretty well. So yeah, there's gonna be, if you love the medium and you love what the medium does for you, which is, I think, helps you understand the world and process the world and even reflect yourself back at you. If you love that experience, then the failures are part of it. I look at I wonder if I have my old book here. I mean, again, because I just moved, I might not. Oh, come on, I should. Hang on, maybe it's here. Really? That's so silly. Hang on, I must have one copy. This is ridiculous. Hang on. No.
you do magic?
Later, maybe. Bummer, I don't have it. Anyway, I got a reprint book of my earliest comics from like 91 to 90. It doesn't matter, 6 or 7 or something like that. And I'll look through it and I'll be like, oh, look at that little cute cartoonist. Like, what a lousy cartoonist he was, you know? Like, but I also see him striving hard, you know? It's like, I'll be like, wow, like, look at him trying to say this thing, you know? And that's super exciting. Like, if somebody is really, really trying to say something that they feel hasn't been said before, like, that can be really powerful, even if you get it right or not. And that's why, like, when I'm teaching and I see, you know, yeah, if you see a student and they're emulating one style too much, if you can sort of see what's like inside of there, that's not the emulation, but sort of themselves, you could be like, that's really beautiful. And also maybe what they're trying to say, they think they're trying to say something that, you know, we all start out copying, right? And so we think there's a way to do it, and it's like we've seen before, but, you know, hopefully somebody is there to help you say, this is where the important stuff is, I think. You know, I'm really seeing a lot of energy there, or a lot of humanity there, or you know, vitality or whatever. And so, I mean, I hope it's not arrogant to say, it's like, I like my past self, you know, when I look at those things, which are failures. Actually, to be honest, there are a couple books I don't look at. So I have to be kind of honest.
But it's like seeing an old photo of yourself with like,
Yeah.
wow, that seemed like such a good idea at the time, but
Yeah, no, that's true. That I
Please,
can't do that right now. I'm talking to my friend Jess.
Please.
I can't, I don't have any option. Jess, do you want to show Jess a doll?
No.
Do you want to go to the park?
No. Is it 5?
No, it's almost 3.
I want to do. What I want you to do is do a confetti pop allspice magic.
She wants me to make a doll appear out of thin air. I can't do it.
wow, I wish I could do that. I can't.
And that's sort of what we're talking about, though, right? You can't make that, all of the skills and all of the mental energy and all of the emotional strength it takes to make the projects we're talking about. You can't make that come out of thin air either.
Dad!
What, sweetie?
Mom says yes. We asked her to do magic. She says yes later, but she doesn't know what to do.
I have to talk to my friend for a few more minutes, okay?
We're almost done, Molly Rose. We love you.
Anyway, did that answer your question? I think the question was like, how do you deal with failure?
Well, yeah, I think the general thing, it seems like, what are the obstacles to completing and sustaining a long project? And it seems like a lot of that comes up for most people, and something that you think about a lot and teach often on, is getting past that, you know, defensive ego voice, and like how to kind of navigate around not being good at things and kind of getting out of your own way.
You know, there's also the side issue that, how do I say this? Like, you know, this culture is set up. Hold on, I'm gonna be mad at my daughter for a second. Molly Rose, I can't talk right now. I need 5 more minutes, please. I can't do any magic.
When?
Magic is a hard thing to do.
Yeah, but when?
I don't know. We're gonna go to the park in a couple hours. When I get off this call, we'll go upstairs in your fort and we'll do some.
No.
Well, how about?
No.
Well, then, can I talk to my friend then?
Tell you.
What do you have to tell me?
Mom doesn't know how to do magic, but she says yes.
Well,
Can you give me? How do you do magic?
I don't know how to do magic. Like,
Dad, I just want to know how you do magic.
you're asking a very complicated question. I would need hours to tell you. Can I talk to my friend and then?
Yes.
Okay.
Stop.
Wait, come here. How about we have some crackers? Some bunnies. Okay. I'm gonna get her some bunny crackers, okay?
Okay, cool.
I'll remember what I was saying.
Dad, you'll never magic.
I'll be off in a minute. Okay. Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
Not myself a grand fact.
Important. As we've
but no, there's a really important point to be made, and that is the way the culture is set up and the way the society is set up and the way the economy is set up is that system wants you to fail. It wants you to fail. So it wants you to feel bad about yourself. It wants you to listen, to do what's expected, to play by the rules, to get a job, to feel lousy in that job. So you have to buy your way to happiness. It doesn't want you to be unique. It doesn't want you to feel good about yourself through your own power. It wants you to feel good about yourself through buying soda or a hotel vacation or whatever. So if you're going to let your own art make you feel bad, you're giving into them, I think. You know, and I think you're letting the bastards win, to be honest. And all you're trying to do is express who you are, let some of the forces of life come through you a little bit and work themselves out through you and on the paper or the screen or whatever. And there's no shame in any of that. And there's not even any failure in any of that. Just do it. And if you're going to believe, if you're even going to believe that that failure is one of the ways to describe your general art making, then you're thinking about it wrong. Because really all you're doing, look at that piece of paper off again. All you're doing is you're just trying to be human. For those of us, if you're in art school, you felt at some point that there was something about expressing your humanity that was more important than learning how to fit pipes or any number of other skills. You know, you felt like there was something about expressions of humanity in art, in writing, and drawing. Maybe other avenues too. Maybe you love film or whatever, but expressions of humanity, or you felt moved by those, you know, at some point. And that's your job right now, is to express that humanity. I think there's any number of ways to do that, and there's any number of inputs to take in. You know, Jess, you do that through your nonfiction work as much as anybody does that through their autobiographical work, you know. And your job is to keep expressing it, go deeper. So that does mean developing a little bit of a critical sense of how to go deeper and how to be more unique, and fly in the face of all those forces telling you what you're doing isn't important and that you're going to suck at it, and just really trying to make you a machine. I'm starting to sound like some old hippie. And I try not to when I go off on rants like this. I try not to sound like this stuff is canned, because it's not. Like, but it's important. But seriously, like, you know, there are enough forces trying to drag you down. Don't make yourself one of those other forces. Don't make yourself an ally to the people trying to take you down and keep you down and keep you from having a voice, you know?
Totally. I think there's something about your like approach to art making that reminds me of like a spiritual pilgrim. Like you're trying to listen to the right voices. Like,
Yeah.
like going down a path and you're like, that's not cool and that seems good, and you're still going in the same direction, but you're trying to edit out the input from the world. I don't know, this strikes me as like some type of spiritual endeavor.
That's really true. And like that thing I was saying about giving yourself chances to learn to trust your intuition, and giving yourself chances to not second guess yourself is important practice to learn. That takes time, I think. I was once, I don't know if this is getting too digressive for your students, but I was on this online business course with this this woman, and something she said was so simple, was like, figure out where it is you get your best ideas, where and what activity you're doing, and do more of that. And for her, it was the shower.
Yes.
And for me, I realized it was biking between my house and Saw, although I've just moved, so I have to find somewhere new. But and then the other thing is if those are where your good ideas come from, trust the ideas that come there. And that got me in a really good habit of like, I'd be biking, an idea would come, and at the end of my bike ride, I'd write an email and say, hey, we're doing this. You know, like I'm implementing a new idea. And but they all were decent ideas. And if I have creative ideas in the same way, I would say, like, I'm just going to go with it, because a good thing about art is like, it's not going to hurt anybody. Like if you're like, oh, I'm going to make a comic about blah, 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 blah. Or I'm going to, you know, divide the comic I was working into 16 half-page chunks and then make each one a different color. Like, that's not going to hurt anybody. If you had that idea in a space that's usually a productive, empowering space, then go for it. And so I got an email from that lady saying, she said, and again, it's like, you know, to say what you were saying about a spiritual path, her email said, the shower gods told me to cancel this course I had been offering the past couple of years. So this is your last chance to get it. Like, she actually called it the shower gods. I love it.
It is awesome. When I stay in Gainesville at Xana's house, sometimes I'll poke my head in the bathroom when Xana's in the shower. I'd be like, what are your shower thoughts? Are you having shower thoughts? And she's like, well, I'm thinking about work. Or she'll say, like, oh, someone said something and I didn't like it. And I think I'm gonna make a sandwich. Like, it's, I don't know, like, I think we all think about stuff in the shower. I don't know if it's like mundane or profound, but everybody thinks in the shower. So I don't know why. Like, I cornered Xana when she couldn't leave, and I was like, tell me, you're thinking of something.
Shower thoughts.
I do think in the shower. So,
you know, one last thing I'll say, just this kind of random, but I'm seeing myself in the image, and I see behind myself this giant poster, and like, surround yourself with things that inspire you. And it should be obvious, everybody does it, but like this picture in particular is it just reminds me of everything I love about comics. I can go into it some other day, it's not that important, but it reminds and so it's giant. I printed it out giant, and it faces me every day, and it's this
beautiful. I love the idea that you made it bigger. I thought you had just found a poster and like the image or something, but
no,
you like
I had somebody
after it and made it yours and owned it.
The benefits of the 21st century is you can get anything printed now in any size. So
that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
What is it from?
It's from Yoshihiro Suge's Screw Style. It's a really famous Japanese alternative manga. It's one of the first that was arguably was the first that had a certain kind of underground quality to it, I guess you could say. It was very dreamlike. It was confronting a lot of weird, surreal kind of psychodramas. That is the first panel, I think. It's definitely one of the first images. And it's this character emerging from the sea, and he's got this wound on his arm that he's covering right now. But in later images, you see it's got like one part of a vein spurting and another part of a vein and it's spurting blood. So he's just emerged out of the sea trying to fix this issue, fix this arm, And there's this giant World War II bomber up above. It's definitely a post-war story. And I love the lines. I love the character emerging out of nowhere. And I love the fact that he's born like out of nothing with this story. I have to get my arm fixed. I don't know. I just find it so mesmerizing. I would definitely recommend everybody find one image they can blow up to 36 by 48 or whatever and do it.
Maybe a fun assignment. Maybe I'll assign that as like the first assignment.
Yeah, just cost a little.
Yeah, why not? Come on, you gotta decorate your cell. We're all gonna be stuck indoors another couple months.
Actually, that's a great way to phrase it.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you taking so much time and hanging out with me and answering some cool questions. Hopefully it's helpful to the students, but I can send you some notes or the transcript from the recording too. If it's helpful, I'll edit it for you.
No, just do send me the bullet points. In
the highlight. Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I hope it's helpful to people, and yeah, especially in this hard time, know that like any ups and downs you're feeling are so common and normal. And find the resources, but also find the people, and that you can all support each other. That whole like, don't let the bastards get you down kind of thing is like really best done when you have a group, when you have others that you can rely on as a front.
Yeah. How do you find those people? Is it just like
Well, art school's a great way to find them.
It's a great place. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's the and if not art school, then in places artists hang out,
Yeah, totally. I think that's good if like you make stuff and then people see it and then you start a conversation with other people that are making stuff and then those are your people. So
totally.
If they're not there yet. It's like leaving, I don't know, cookies out for Santa, making art. The artist will come. You'll have cookies in no time.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, thanks, Tom. I really appreciate it. I hope you have fun at the park and learn some magic in the next 5 minutes.
I'm really expected to come up with something.
Oh, wow, the pressure's on.
Okay, well, Jess, I'm gonna ask you to talk to my group at some point.
Absolutely, and when I edit this a little bit, I'll share it with you if you want to use it for song.
Sure.
I thought the stuff you said was really useful.
I hope so.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, let's catch up in the normal way soon too.
Yes, I will. I'll send you an email.
Okay,